Welcome to Cooking with Unity, episode 31. We're going to be doing some more RTS junk today. So, in our last episode, that's not the right thing. There we go.
You need to introduce yourself.
Oh, yeah. All right. Thank you.
That's what I'm here for.
All right. Well, I'll just introduce myself then. I won't introduce anyone else. My name is Max Moreau. I couldn't even do that right.
And I'm Philip Wilson.
All right. Now that we got that out of the way, we're going to look at what we did for the last episode.
All right.
So what we've got here is we've got units. When you click them, they start flashing, kind of. And when you right-click, well, when you actually successfully right-click, they move places. And we have a little movement poof. You can shift-click to select multiple units, and they'll go to the same location. We have... the enemies, we can command the enemies, too. That was unintentional, but that's just because I just copied the enemy from the player stuff, so I guess that's to be expected. And the units actually shoot they shoot these horrible poison clouds that currently do nothing, but look really terrifying, so...
They're going to shoot each other now.
No, they're going to be in the crossfire.
Is it friendly fire thing that's going to be the case?
Maybe, I don't know.
Blah, blah, blah.
But yeah, you can command all the units now. So, this episode, what I was thinking of starting... So we kind of have... obviously we don't have everything working with that. We don't have those poison gas clouds. They just look like poison gas clouds, and they only look like that because we were playing around with the particle system. But they don't hit anything. They don't kill any enemies. And we've done collision detection. We've done enemies on the show a few times before, so I'm going to actually not focus on that just yet. We're gonna look at another aspect of RTSs. So we've got very basic unit command going on here. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to have a unit that builds other units. We're going to make a little factory type thing and an interface for that. And that's probably all we're going to be able to get done on this episode, because there's actually a lot of little detail work to that. And actually, for this episode, I don't have the files available for the live viewers. I'm sorry. So immediately after the episode, I'll put them up. My partner Chris made a couple of 3D model files for this episode, and we're just going to include them in here. And because I kind of want to show that part of the pipeline, because I know that I haven't really shown the modeling part of the pipeline. Well, I'm not going to show the modeling, but I'm going to show you how to import things and a few best practices for Unity on those things. Don't sweat it too much, but if you're playing around with Blender, this may help you out a little bit. So let's actually start with those model files real quick. So I'm just going to grab those real quick. Cooking with Unity. Here we go. So we have this factory model, and we have this tank model. I'm going to grab both of these. And these are just in OBJ format, which is not a particularly special format, and most things can output to them. So when you import these files, I'm going to actually make a folder for them real quick called models. So when you import a model file, you'll notice that they come in and they look like a prefab. As a matter of fact, they even act very much like a prefab. So if I drag this into the scene, we'll see that we have this factory thing. And it's way bigger than the rest of our scale. But we'll get that fixed up too. So it works, and that totally works. And that's, unfortunately, I can't say that's a good thing that it totally worked. And the reason I can't say it's a good thing that it totally worked is because if you modify this file in any way, any changes you've made to this, if you try to change the prefab and add some scripts to it or something, and then later someone replaces that model file or updates that model file, you can lose a lot of your work that you've done on that. So the general rule of thumb is you never, ever want to instantiate directly from one of these models. If you see this file thing on it, you do not want to instantiate from it. You can get away with it in the short term. It will bite you in the butt. I guarantee it. So, and it's really easy to fix this. And this is something that a lot of people don't really talk about, but it's really super simple. I'm gonna create a prefab folder just in preparation for this. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into the Create menu. We're going to choose Prefab. And we're going to call this Factory. And I'm going to create another prefab called Tank. And we're going to take our Factory 1 model and just drag it right onto that. And it will, bam, it doesn't put it inside of it. It just, bam, becomes exactly what this is, except for it's not a special file object anymore. Like, see how this has importing settings? And this is just a normal, everyday Unity prefab. And I'm going to do that with my tank as well. And now, you never even worry about the models folder. Like, if they get updated, the prefabs will get updated themselves. They have a link to that aspect. But you will not lose the other work you've done in the prefabs as well. So now, if you ever want to instantiate these, you instantiate from this point. So not from the model, even though it looks like it's exactly the same thing. It is a very different thing.
Make sure if they actually don't have animations with them. Also, the animation can mess it up, having that animation thing in there, yeah. So you should either have them not import the animation or remove that tab, because sometimes it'll move the object to a different location, things like that. Okay. So that's good to keep note of.
All right, I'll keep that in mind. I hadn't had that problem, but yeah, if you need to remove the animation, like these definitely do not have animation, so I'm just going to hit remove on that. Although I actually want to do that on the prefab. So we'll just get rid of remove component. Naturally, it shouldn't do any damage being there, but if you are running into problems, that's a good thing to check. It's extraneous stuff like that. So we have this big old structure thing. So I'm going to actually change the import settings on it slightly. We're going to change the scale factor on here. So how big are these things? I should have asked what units Chris had this thing in. Whatever.
I'll figure it out.
We'll just change the scale factor by, let's try that. So now if I drag the factory in, apply. Alright, that's much closer to our scale actually. Pan, thank you.
Oh wow.
So we have a little factory thing. I'm not sure how well this thing will work, but we're going to give it a shot. And I'm actually going to make it a little bit bigger than that. Well, let's make it 2 times bigger than that. Hit apply. And you can see that even though I'm working on the model thing, and this is based on the prefab, it updated immediately. So everything works once you do this. It's not like you lose any functionality. You actually gain quite a bit. And furthermore, if someone updates the model, the world doesn't end. So... all right, so we've got a little 3D model in here, and so let's start with this as our factory thing. Let's see what we can do with it. So when I hit play, how's our camera angle look? All right, let's rotate this thing around. Why? No, let's move. That was really funny looking. You were expecting to rotate too, weren't you? And it's just whoop!
And it just flew away into the sky.
So we got that, and we're going to... so now if we hit play, it should be facing the right way at least. And I'm going to go ahead and add a tilt to our camera a little bit. We're just going to bring the camera... Is it the X rotation? Yeah, we're going to bring the X rotation to 60 degrees. And we're going to move it slightly downward. Not downward. Z-word? Yeah.
Z-word.
Z-word. -6. That looks pretty good. So let's see how that looks in the game real quick. Alright, so we kind of have a little 3D factory type thing. And that doesn't look too bad. I'm gonna finally do something to our ground texture. I gotta put something there that doesn't look as blinding as that. I think I'm gonna just grab this metal texture. I don't have rights to this texture, but just using it for example's sake. I just searched online for metal, and we're just going to throw this in here. Feel free to use whatever you want for your projects. Oh, that kind of looks cool. And at least we now have a sense of there is position and stuff. So if we move our balls around now, they should still work the way that... Don't laugh at that. You're making it dirty. Just let it happen. All right. So when we move our balls around, there's nothing wrong with moving balls around, we can see that they're moving kind of in 3D because we were running them on that plane anyway. So now we have a little angle to things, and it'll make things look a little cooler. Although, actually, are they running the right way? You can see that they're interpenetrating the... Were they always doing that? They may have always been doing that.
They interpenetrating the ground?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know if they
Oh,
did.
yeah, I think they were, actually, because I think as soon as you move them, they actually move into the ground.
Oh, they're moving to the exact coordinate.
Yeah.
There's no offset.
Yeah.
I found a bug.
Yep. Minor, as it may be. But,
Yep.
there we go. That's a bug. The reason it's doing that is, as Phil pointed out, is our script that actually, where you right-click on the plane, it sends the exact coordinate where that intersected the plane. And so, because of that, the center of a sphere is in the center of it. And so it says, move the center to the point on the plane. So we'd either have to add an offset to that, or probably more appropriately would be to actually offset the models using like a parent, so that you can still call the position on the terrain, but it actually is slightly above the terrain. All right, so let's see about making some units. So what I was planning on doing for the unit making in this one is, like, a lot of RTSs do the kind of interface style where they have like a bottom bar across here, and they'll have like, move orders and movement stuff and stuff. And we might make a game complex like that at some point, but I'm going to actually go with a floating interface style. So, like, the context, as opposed to the context being on the screen at all times, the context is there only when it's selected. So when we select our building, it'll bring up a little interface around the building to select units to make and stuff. And we'll see how it works. We're not going to have a lot of unit types, so we can probably get away with this. This may not be the best option if you're making the next StarCraft or Supreme Commander game. But I'm going to see how it actually works on here. And our interface is going to be probably pretty minimal, as I said. So let's go ahead and should we start with that? Yeah, let's make it so that when we click this thing, it shows our user interface stuff. And let's make some user interface stuff. So yeah, let's start by making it, I guess. So we're just going to create a... I'm just going to make it a cube, actually. And we're going to just move this somewhere. I don't know. Oh, I'm looking in that view. Alright, so move this thing out a little bit. Oh, we were playing naturally. There goes my cube. Alright, before I do anything else, I'm going to save, because that reminded me to save things. Losing work reminds me to save.
Whatever makes you remember to save.
Yeah, do it.
That's all that matters.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's happened to all of us.
Yes,
many
it has.
times.
Yes, it has. Alright, so how do I want to actually do this? So we want the interface to actually be facing the screen. Maybe it would be better to actually have this be in a separate camera type thing. Nah. Yeah, we'll just do this in space right now. It's going to look a little bit awkward at first, but it's something we could work with. So let's put this at 0, 0, 0. I'm going to make it a child of the factory. And we're going to move it back a little bit, up a little bit. Dark Rowan said that they call his work the safety dance. Oh. Oh,
jeez.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you had some SVN trouble. I'm not sure if I fully understand that, but yeah, that's a good term for saving, the safety dance.
Yeah, it's a safety dance.
Alright.
You can save if you want to.
Alright, we're gonna just make it really ghetto looking. We're gonna use text. So we're gonna create a 3D text. And we're going to attach it into our factory. And we're going to angle it up at our camera. So that's X rotation. We're going to go positive 60.
It's like the building is saying, hello, world.
It is. It is like that very much. And we're going to delete this cube. It's around... Oh, we'll keep the cube. We're going to use it for something here, I'm sure. Actually, I'm going to make the cube actually a child of the text. I don't know. We're making this up as we go along. New text cube. I'm just going to put this cube at 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, and 0. We're going to make a really primitive build queue system for our single unit type that we have in this game. But what we make here, you could extend into further stuff. So I'm gonna actually change the properties of this hello world here first. So like if you're working with 3D text, as you may in games, first of all, there's a caveat that I want to note that Phil pointed me out. This stuff will always render over everything else, at least unless you change the shader that it uses. So that will work to our advantage in this case. But if you wanted to make something that had text that you could like walk through or not see after certain angles, this out of box will not do it.
Yeah, or if you wanted to like create a first-person shooter or something like that with text that floats in the air and you don't want to see it around a corner.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a shader that they give you an example of on the website, and I don't remember where, but it's actually really helpful. It's a very small shader. It'll fix that problem.
Okay. And it's not a huge performance difference either. It's just like they're just adding a depth test to the shader, right? Yeah.
It looks like.
So anyway, what I'm not have we done the 3D text on the show before? I don't think we have, because I don't think I've gone over this. So the first off, when you first start using it, you're like, wow, why would I ever put this in my project? It looks terrible. This looks absolutely awful. And by the default settings, it does look absolutely awful. It has this font size parameter. And what this actually does, this stuff is so stupidly hard to work with compared to a lot of Unity stuff, it increases the size of the font, as you would expect it to. And so what you actually want to do to have crisp-looking text is you want to bring this up to an appropriate level, say like 30, and then you want to actually scale it back down. Actually didn't do 100. So if you do 100 and you scale it down by 0.1, you'll get this text that looks much crisper. This looks like something you could actually ship in a product now. The problem is you had to apply a scale to it, and you're going to have to do that with pretty much all your text, which may break some of the batching stuff. So what I usually do is I try to keep a particular scale for all of the text objects. So like this is a pretty good value to get some good results, just 100, 100.1. But you may want to do more or less. And I think technically you're using more memory the more font size you use. It's not a major deal, but just pointing that out. And so we're gonna make the alignment, the anchor. We're gonna make
just something important to note about the 3D fonts is that if they're not dynamic fonts, the font size has to be 0. That's one of the things that I ran into.
Oh, you mean if they're like PostScript or something?
Yeah. Yeah, you have to keep the font size 0 in that case.
Okay, that's not. But like if it was a TrueType font, you wouldn't have that problem.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Hopefully most people are using TrueType these days. I don't know why the other still exists, actually. Because one's a bitmap format and one's a vector format. So, but that's good to know.
Yep, it's just something to throw out there.
Yeah. So I'm going to actually make this thing go anchor middle left. So that way our cube, our cube just got scaled out of existence because it's a child of the new text. Okay, so we're gonna have to readjust this a little bit. So where's my cube? There's my cube. We're gonna actually make a empty game object. We'll call this unit interface. Gonna make it a child of the factory. Gonna go ahead and zero it out all the values here. We make this new text. We're gonna call it Q text, and we're gonna put it as a child of the unit interface, and we're gonna put a cube as the child of the unit interface, and then we're gonna check to see the positions of everything. All right, and the cube. All right, so just get all these things. Unity tries to be helpful, and so in being helpful, whenever you child an object, it immediately tries to keep the object in the exact same position, but now parented to that object. So its world position basically gets translated for you into the proper relative position. So we're going to still do the 0.1 on the text scale here because we want that. But we're not going to do any of the... oh. Wait, what? Oh. That's fine. That's perfectly fine, I guess. Wait, why is it like that? Alright, so the text is facing kind of an awkward way now. I guess I will just put that rotate in there. Alright. And, this cube. Okay, so the unit interface, we want to actually put that angle on here. So if we hit play, that should be facing our camera. Alright, it is. Now I'm going to go ahead and move the cube or the text a little to the right. I'm going to move the text a little to the right. And this cube's going to be our button, and all it's going to do is just add units to our queue. So we're going to move this unit interface now using the local coordinate system so that we don't have to worry about the angle that it's at. And I'm just going to position it so that it's appropriate to the building. And I'm going to make things kind of even values because I've got problems mentally.
I do the same thing.
Yeah, I need to stop doing it. I need to get better about it. Alright, so we have this little interface here. And I'm going to make the hello world actually say add units. Or we'll just do this. 0. Q0. I'm a UI guy. And all of that was in play mode. So let's look at... not all of it, thankfully. They're just the text stuff. So, Q...
I had $1 for every time that happened.
We'd have more dollars than we have now, certainly.
Yeah, well...
I don't know who would pay you for that, though. Yeah.
Whoever wants to can.
Alright, so we have this stuff in here. I'm going to call this the Q button. And I'm going to, before I forget, apply this to our prefab. So now if you go to our prefab, you'll see that it has a unit interface in it. And you won't see anything below that because Unity in their infinite wisdom do not show the full hierarchy in the project view. And you'll have to ask them why, because when they explained it to me, it didn't make any sense, so I promptly discarded the information. So we have this. So what I'm going to do is basically, if you click this button, so this won't show up normally. So we're going to actually hide this. We're going to go ahead and disable this thing right here, and we're going to deactivate the children as well. And so let's first make it so that when we select this unit, it will bring up the unit interface for it. So we have a. So I'm going to put flash if selected on here. And what do we use for players here? Flash if selected. Okay, flash right 1. Okay, so that's good enough. So we want that. And we have a select player unit unclicked. So we're going to put this on our factory so now it can be selected. And all we need to do is, it gets the unit manager for us. Perfect. And so now if we hit play right now, you'll see that we can now select our building. And it doesn't appear to do... Oh. There's no renderer attached to the factory game object. Aha. Interesting. Alright, we may have to modify this now that we're doing a model here. Let's actually look at our code a little bit. So what had happened was I had assumed that our object had a renderer attached to it that has the script attached to it. And so we're going to have to modify things slightly because there's actually a hierarchy here now.
Oh, mono-develop. How you like to go into the wrong window.
Yes. Come on. All right. That was a lot of time.
You can do a new, buddy.
All right, so our current flash if selected here basically checks to see with the unit managers, like, am I selected? And then it flashes. So what... We probably don't want to assume that the root is the object to flash. Flash if selected. How do we want to change this? So we're going to put this script on the components that have the renderers on it, and we want to make sure that if they are selected, or if their parent is selected, it will work. But we don't want to assume that the root object will do it, just in case we need to use that for grouping purposes. So we need some way of figuring that out. So let's see how we're organized here real quick. Player unit. So, this factory thing. So it has this sub-object that's actually the renderer. And has the mesh filter. So we're gonna just remove this script here, and we're gonna add it to our object. And I'm gonna see if we can actually get this script to work in both cases. If not, we'll make a slight modified version. So what I think we're gonna do is let's add a variable to this thing. Let's add a public float game object. Main game object, or I don't know, what would you call this? Not parent. I'm just going to call it unit object. We're going to make it equal to null. And in the start function here, we're going to do if unit object equals null. Unit object equals game object. And so now, what do we want to do? We want to do unit object dot renderer dot material dot color. We're going to check to see if it's the unit object selected. We're going to use unit object here. And then finally, where else do we need it? Renderer.material color. So what we're doing here is, instead of assuming it's GameObject.renderer.material.color, we're actually having it so that we can actually explicitly set the object. I hope this will work appropriately. I think it can. So we just need to make sure that all of our cases are properly changed here. So that should be everything. Let me just search for... Oh, goodness. What happened there? Normal size. Let's make it one level zoomed in. Alright, so let's do a find. We're going to find renderer. And just make sure that it's always unit object.renderer. And I'm going to just do another search for game object just in case. Alright, we're looking good. So I'm going to save this, and first we're just going to see if this works like it did before for the rest of the objects. So if we hit play, we wait. Okay, compiled, that's good. And when we click a unit, it's flashing. Good. So when we click this, we're still going to get a problem here. Or, wait. No, we're not. Alright. Well, whatever. Oh, I see. It was doing it in the start that was the problem. So we didn't even actually get to the clicking point because this thing doesn't even have a collider. So we're going to add one real quick. We're going to add physics box collider. And we're going to have to actually scale it to be appropriate to this thing. So going to have to kind of eyeball this. You can see the green represents the collision geometry, and we're just going to basically fill this thing out with a box. Alright. That's probably excessively large. Whoops. Okay, that'll probably work. So now when we click this, you clicked factory. Alright, so we got that, but for whatever reason, okay, so now this thing will never actually be marked as selected, but it will be, it says flash if selected. So now what we changed here, hopefully we can put our factory object in here, and now it will flash when selected. So if I click here, missing component, there's no renderer attached to the factory game object, but the script is trying to access it. Okay, I did this wrong. I was overthinking the problem, I think. So we want this object to flash. Oh, okay. Okay, so we actually care about... Alright, so I didn't actually want to change all the renderer calls. I just wanted to change the checking which object was selected. So let's just find unit object, and we're going to delete all cases except for this one up here. Sorry, I was just thinking backwards. We don't want to affect the other object. We want to affect the object that this script is attached to, but we want to use the other object for checking to see where is attached. So, is that everything? Yeah, that should be everything. So let's see if this works on the regular units here now. So, works on them. Sweet. If I click this one, it's working! Yay, we have selection working.
Awesome.
Alright, so this script now works if whether you set that or not, which is nice. So if you don't set it, it assumes that the object itself has the renderer on it. If you do set it, it assumes whatever you've set is... So we could even confuse it really badly. Like, we could attach it to one of the enemies, so if you click on an enemy, this thing flashes. Doesn't make any sense, but we have the capability of doing that should you want to. The whole point of it would be to have an object that, if it has sub-objects, you can have those sub-components flash. The other thing that's nice about it is if this was if this had multiple components, like if... actually, let's do this real quick. Let's re-enable our unit interface here, activate children. We could put this script on our Q button here. It's going to be hard to see because it looks so white anyway. But and then attach our factory in here. And so if we select the factory, both will start flashing. No, they won't. Why didn't they start flashing?
Unless it is flashing, we can't see it.
Oh, it is, and we can't see it. You're right. Because you can see right there the color's changing here. The problem is the color is already white, so it's changing from white to
Whiter.
alpha white. Yeah, I don't know. You can see that it's changing the alpha aspect at least. So, or something. I don't know. Something's happening.
It's working.
It's working, but it's not working. But we don't care.
Visibly working.
I wanted to see it visibly working, but I'm not going to worry about it now.
Like red or something, and then we'll fix it.
All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to create show if selected. So we're going to create a C# script. Show if selected. And we're going to attach this to our user interface. Our unit interface, rather. I'm going to deactivate everything. Ooh, wait, this won't. Maybe it'll work.
That's worth a shot.
Alright, so if we deactivate it, it's not going to work. Alright, so the thoughts that just popped into my head there. I was planning on doing this very similar to the other selection thing, which our flash if selected checks every frame in the update loop to see if it's selected. And that works if the object is enabled, but if the object is disabled, it will never get that update loop call. So I'm going to reverse the way I was going to set this up. So I was originally going to set this up so show if selected. We're going to actually change it to be the opposite way. So we're going to do. I'm going to change it to be called show activate game objects when. I'll do if actually if selected. And we're going to attach this to the factory. And we can't do that because the file name doesn't match. So let's do that real quick. Just bam. And go ahead and attach this so that I don't forget to attach it later. Alright, now what we're going to do is we're going to, in this script, public game object array objects to activate. And what else? I guess that's about it. And we're going to use the recursive call so I don't have to make a huge list of objects. Though we might want to, you might consider that being an option. We're just not going to make it an option. We're just going to make it always do that. So In Flash, if selected, we're going to steal some code from this. We're going to just take this little piece of code. And actually, I'm going to create a little private bool active equals false. We're going to default it to false. So will it be bad to set it active every time? We're not going to worry about it first. We'll see how it goes. So if it's selected, we're going to for each game object obj in objects to activate obj.set active recursively true, and then else So what this is doing is every frame it's going to be setting these objects active or setting them deactivating them. Which, if you had a bunch of things in this list, you don't really want to be doing that every frame. You want to do it only when something changes selection. As we don't have this set up as an event system, we can't easily fix that right now. So what we would probably want to do in the future is, like right now we're checking to see if the object is selected. You would probably want to register your object so that it would either get a message or a callback of some kind when an object is selected, and then act appropriately at those times. In that case, we wouldn't even need an update loop. It would just be a function that would be called on the object. I'm doing it this way. It's not going to hurt anything for this example, but just keep it in the back of your mind. So let's just see if this works. Let's see if my computer works. All right. So what we're going to do now is, wow, 91 degrees. All right. Unit manager does not exist in the current context. So we need to get our unit manager stuff. So grab these two things, and this is another reason we should have done the unit manager as a singleton, or maybe a multi. I'm clicking on things, and they're just not doing anything anymore. That's strange. There we go.
It didn't like it being selected.
That's stupid.
I agree.
Actually, I'm just going to take this. This will be faster. Give me the... Alright, so when we don't need this, and we don't need the unit object stuff. My computer is starting to irk me. Alright. So if I hit play now, we still got problems. What we got? Unit manager. What's wrong? Unit object. Oh, is selected. Game object. Alright, so compiled now. So now if we go to our factory thing, has this object to activate list, we're just going to throw our unit interface in here. And since it works recursively, that should be all we need to put in there. So if we hit play, we'll see nothing. And when we click this thing, oh, we have our unit queue thing. And it goes away when we click something else. So that's pretty cool. Alright. In the future, you'd probably want to have some fancy little animation or like a fade in or something, but you know that works, and this is the important part. So, and then all we're going to do is we're just going to make it so you can click this thing and it'll start building things based on the number that are in the queue. As I said, like you would want to replace this with like a more of a window or something around it with like multiple icons for things that you can do. We're just showing you kind of how to get this set up, or one of the ways to get this set up, so that you can work with similar things. So now we want to make it so that this user interface does stuff. So our factory is going to need to make units. So let's create a script for that. Let's see. Build units. I'm going to attach this to our factory right from the start. We're going to go into it. 15 minutes left. Think I can get this done in 15 minutes? I think I can.
Never hurts to try.
Yeah.
You could always run a little.
I clicked a button I didn't want to click. Okay, luckily that didn't take too long.
You could always go a little longer if you need to.
I know.
There are no rules.
There's totally rules.
There are no rules. Okay, there are some rules.
I don't make the rules, I just enforce them.
Ooh.
Public. Game object. Unit type. So this one, you only have one build type. In your other games, you may have more build types per unit and stuff. You'll have to reorganize this a little bit differently, or maybe as an array. So unit type, public float, build time, public float, yeah, I guess that's really all we need there. Although, public float, build position. Actually, it's not going to be a float. It's going to be a. I'm going to make it a game object, actually. So what this is going to be is this is going to be where to build it, and the reason I made it an object is so that we can just drag in a game object that I'm going to create to show the position of where the units are going to come out, because otherwise we could just spawn them at 000 on the object, like at the game object's position, but the factory has an obvious place where a unit probably would be, like in the front here, so we're going to have it pop out there and move from there. So oh yeah, and we're going to need some internal stuff. We're going to make a private int number to build, and private int yeah, we probably don't need anything else. We'll just do number to build. And all we're going to do is start coroutine build unit. And we're going to create a coroutine called build unit. Actually, wait, do we want it to be a coroutine? No, actually, we just want to do invoke. Time. So we're going to set this up in a very basic way first, and then we're going to modify it to work the way we want it. So we're going to have build unit here. And all it's going to do is instantiate unit type, build position. Actually, I'm going to do if build position. I like to make it so scripts work even if you don't have them set up properly.
Dark Rowan did bring up a good point, by the way. You could have our rally points as well if you want to set build points outside of the factory.
That's a very good point. This would actually be in this case, you would still need this variable because this represents where it's coming out of the building, but we'd also have a variable for each building called a rally point, and you could store it in this script or in another script, actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that is a good point. Thank you. And build position. So wait, we want if build position equals null. This we want to have happen no matter what. Let's put this outside of there. Build position equals game object. So now if we don't set that, it will just default to the game object's position. Build position and unit type. Why is unit type not auto? Whatever. Seriously, like, why? Transform. It's not auto-completing at all. Luckily, I know what I'm looking for. Alright, so, and then we do another invoke here. Unit and build time. So if we save this out, and then we create a, we have it attached here. We have a problem here. Oh, build position dot transform. Oh, dot transform dot position. One more in there. All right. Alright, so it worked that time, but we didn't actually assign a variable to build units, so we're going to have this thing build our little green dudes. Factory, so unit type is going to be player unit. And build time, oh, we should have set this to a meaningful default value. 10.0 F. So I'm going to have to manually change that here. We'll just do 10. And then build position. Let's see if that works. Let's make a new empty game object. Build position. And then we're just going to position it on our model here a little bit. I'm going to make the Y 0 so it's halfway through the ground naturally. And that position looks pretty good. So let's actually set this to our build position. Now if we hit play, this thing should pop out a new working player unit every 10 seconds.
Just automatically?
Just automatically right now. Okay, there we go.
Bam!
Bam, we got a unit. And we can't click our unit because
it's actually living inside of the collider.
It's living inside of this thing. Well, yeah, it's because, yeah, the click gets detected by the building before it gets detected by the object.
Correct.
I don't know if I want to actually get into our selection code, so I'm going to make a really quick and dirty hack for right now. So here comes the quick and dirty hack. See our collision here? We're just going to grab the Z size and make it a little bit smaller, and we're going to bring it back in the Z a little bit, and we're going to make it a little bit smaller too. Still.
I had a feeling that was coming.
Did you now?
I did, actually.
So now if we hit play, if you click the bottom of this thing, it's not going to select, but we can select it here, and hopefully we'll be able to move units around the area. So we have our sphere here, and yeah, we can select it now. So that'll work for right now. That's honestly probably closer to what the collision should look like for the building, but for a simple game like this. But if you wanted to avoid that, the best way would be to have it so that there's some sort of click priority on it. Our click script right now just gives us the closest object that has that was clicked. So So we'd have to modify that, and we would modify that probably, and we may actually modify it on this show even. So, but don't hold me to that. So this is mostly working. We just want to make it so that it actually doesn't build things unless we ask it to now. So we have this script here. So what we're going to do is we're going to set this to 0, number to build to 0. So if update, we're going to need this. If can I check to see if we are invoking? Is invoking? We can. How does this actually work? Let's find out. To the Googles.
Oh, Google's so good.
Alright. My computer's just hating me. I'm going to quit iTunes. I don't know why this is even open. Can't be helping my system resources.
Because iTunes.
Alright, so what are we doing? We're doing is invoking Unity. And I'll wait for my computer to catch up. Hopefully this is broadcasting.
I hope so.
I just don't know why it's acting so badly for me right now. Any invoke pending on this model behavior. Okay, so that'll work. So we can just check if not is invoking. If number to build is greater than 0, invoke build unit, build time. That needs to be a string. And now what we're going to do here is we're going to not do this on the start here. And we're going to get rid of it on the build unit thing here too. So what we're going to do is when we build a unit, we're going to take our number to build and subtract from it. It's number to build minus minus. So now what we're going to do is we need a function that we can call on this thing to increase that number. This is going to be like we've done similar stuff before, so it's just going to be void add unit to queue. In this case, it doesn't take any variable, though in the future, if you were doing multiple units from this building, you'd probably take a game object variable of what you wanted built. And all this is going to do is going to be the simplest function in the world, number to build plus plus. And that should be it. That's nice. So now all we need to do is just make it so that that number gets increased by something, in this case our Q button. So we're going to create a build unit on clicked. This may not be the best name for it, but that's what I'm going to go with. And all this is going to do is void clicked. What are we doing? Just calling build unit. Though we need to send the message to something, so we need what is it called? Public game object factory. And so factory dot send message. I don't know why I'm getting no autocomplete.
I don't know.
It's really irking me. Oh, come on. All right. Factory.send message. Oh, it's 9 p.m. All right. Factory.send message. Build unit. And what we're going to do is we need the factory. That's all. That's actually all we need. So let's see how this works real quick. So if we do build unit on clicked, so we already have that on the factory, right? We have build units on there, so now we need build unit on clicked on the Q button. Alright, so if we hit play, we shouldn't have any units built by themselves, so I'm going to actually wait 10 seconds real quick. I don't know how you wait 10 seconds really quickly, but I'm trying as hard as I can.
Oh, yeah, as quick as you can.
Yeah, well, it usually takes 10 seconds to wait 10 seconds. Hello! Hello there in the channel.
Hello, Internet.
Alright, so we need a factory associated with this, which we didn't actually associate ahead of time, so it didn't build anything. So I'm going to call that proof positive that part's working. So I'm just going to grab this factory and throw it in here because we didn't do that before. So now if we hit play, hit this thing, and then click this thing, oh, it instantly created a unit.
Automatically.
Should have taken time. Invoke, build unit, build time. Oh, is it set to 0 right now? That would explain it. No, it says build time 10. Huh.
So it's just building them right when you click?
Bam, just immediately. Yeah, it's definitely building them immediately because I just clicked it 3 times and got 3 units.
So, let's see. So it's calling the build.
Oh,
yeah,
add unit to
just
queue. Oh, retarded.
It's calling build instead of adding.
Yeah, that was stupid of me. All right.
Yeah, that's cool. It happens to everyone.
Here we go. We hit play. Oh, they left.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we click it, and it didn't build anything. That's good.
And then it should 10
Actually, I'm going to click it twice. So in 10 seconds, it should build a unit. Okay, it did. And then in another 10 seconds, it should build another unit. And the only thing we have left to hook up is the Q text so that it actually shows the appropriate number for the number of units.
There's another one.
There's another one.
Fantastic.
And it should not build another now. Like if we wait 10 seconds, it shouldn't build anything more.
Good deal.
Yeah, it looks like that's working. So, one final thing, we just want this Q text to actually update. So I'm going to put that in the build units script. And we're gonna be fancy about it too. We're gonna do public 3D text. Is that a thing? Oh,
yeah. I forget how I had to do that.
What is it actually called? It's called text mesh. All right, perfect. Public text mesh. Q display. And in our update loop, we're just going to Q display dot text equals QUE colons, and then we can do plus number to build dot to string. And I'm going to make it so that this is an optional thing. So if Q display does not equal null, I'm going to explicitly set it to null up here because I have a problem. No, I'm not. It doesn't matter. I didn't do it for build position, so it doesn't matter. And so
Let's just check it real quick.
all we need to do now is in the factory, this should give us a new variable here, shouldn't it?
It just did.
It did? Okay.
Yeah, just took a moment.
Took too long. I was too bored. Alright, so we're going to just throw Q text in here. Whoops, no. Q text in here and build position in cancel. So you can see that I was able to just drag it in like any other game object, but what it actually did, like if I tried to drag it into an object that didn't have that script or didn't have that component, it's not going to work. It's just going to just refuse it. But this one actually has a text mesh, so I get a reference to this text mesh automatically. I didn't have to like grab a component from it or whatever, and you just have that in the... Come on, computer. Alright. So, here we are. Moment of truth. We hit play. We click the unit. We click this. Aha!
Oh, bam.
Bam. And let's see if it actually goes down when the units actually finish. We probably should have had a bar or something, but you can get creative with this stuff. There we go!
Yep,
it worked.
and it definitely decreased.
I'm going to call that an episode.
Fantastic.
Alright. So, to recap, we did a little bit of model import practice stuff. We got a building units, and I think that's a pretty good example. Obviously, things will be more complex in a more complex game, but that's always the case. I'm just trying to get you guys introduced into what's going on. Thank you for tuning in. If you had any questions or comments or concerns or just want to talk, email me at pushypixels@pushypixels.com, as it shows on the screen there. And I forgot to put the buttons for the Twitters, so we'll have to type that stuff in again. I'm just going to do it real quick. So you can reach me at Twitter at Drakfire, which should show up on the screen here in a second, as soon as my computer figures out how
to be a computer.
Oh, it just gave me the beach ball.
Just maybe.
There we go.
Okay.
All right. And if you want to contact Phil,
yep. Follow me on Twitter at magmalemur.com. MAGMALEMUR. I always appreciate followers. So.
All right. And then finally, Proton Pulse is available on iOS and Android, and there's a free version on iOS, and as I've been saying for the past 6 episodes now, there is a free version coming for Android, I swear. I actually was working on it this weekend. It's just I haven't figured out what ad system I'm going to go with on that. With iOS, it was easy just because I was just like iAds, and it was easy to drop in, so... Yeah. I'm not saying that's not going to be easy for me to do it on Android. I'm just saying that there's not a universal, I guess Google has something, but their branding's so awkward on their advertising. I don't know. Whatever. Anyway, Proton Pulse. Check it out.
Yep, buy it. We need more people on the leaderboard.
Yes, we need more people on the leaderboards.
At least for iOS.
Play it. Yeah. Play it. Anyway, thank you very much, and have a great night.
Yep, have a good evening.